She had 17 cents, a carpet bag with a broken latch, and a name she was trying to decide whether to keep. The name was the complicated part. The money was simple. 17 cents was not enough, and she knew it, and the knowing was a fact. She carried the way you carried facts that couldn't be changed, which was alongside everything else, and without making it worse, by looking at it too long. But the name was something she had been turning over for 3 weeks, ever since the courthouse in Millard, Colorado, where a judge had signed a paper that made her a widow and gave back to her the name she'd had before the marriage, the name she'd been born with, the name that had been hers for 24 years before she gave it up. Her born name was Sadie Holt. Her married name had been Sadie Pryor. And Sadie Pryor was the name that the people of Millard associated with a man who had not been who he said he was, which was the most polite version of a much longer story she was not going to tell in full, because the full version cost more than she had to spend on it. She was standing on the platform of the stage stop in a town called Dunn, Wyoming, which was as far as 17 cents had taken her from Millard, which was not far enough but was what she had, and she was looking at the main street of Dunn, Wyoming with the expression of a woman performing a calculation that was not going well. If you've ever stood in a strange place with not enough of anything and had to decide what you were going to do next, stay with me to the end of this story. Hit that like button and drop your city in the comments. I want to see how far this one travels. The marriage had lasted 3 years. She did not need to say more than that to people who understood what 3 years of the wrong marriage looked like. And for the people who didn't understand, she was not going to spend the energy explaining. 3 years, a husband who had turned out to be a series of stories rather than a person, and the specific ending that came when the stories ran out and what was underneath them was not something either of them wanted to be present for. There had been no children. She would not let herself decide yet whether this was mercy or loss. It felt like both, at different times of day, and she had learned to stop trying to resolve it into one thing. There had been, after the courthouse, the specific inventory of a woman who had spent 3 years in someone else's life and was now standing in her own, with nothing much to show for the 3 years except the education of having been through them. What she had, the carpet bag, the 17 cents, a winter coat that was adequate, the ability to cook and keep accounts and sew a straight seam and run a household, which she had been doing for 3 years and had discovered she was capable of doing extremely well. What she did not have, anywhere to go, anyone expecting her, a name she was sure of, or enough money to get from one place to another before she ran out of stage. She had run out of stage in Dunn, Wyoming. The main street of Dunn was 12 buildings and a lot of sky. She walked it in the specific way of a woman doing reconnaissance, looking at what was there and what it might need, and whether what it might need was something she could provide. The hotel had a help wanted sign in the window. She went in. The man at the desk looked at her with the assessment that men at hotel desks gave unaccompanied women in small frontier towns, which was professional in some men and not professional in others, and in this man was somewhere between the two. She said she was looking for work and was capable, with a kitchen and accounts and general household management. He said the position was for a laundress. She said she could do laundry. He said the pay was $2 a week and a room in the back. She said that was acceptable. He said she could start Monday. It was Thursday. She thanked him and went back to the main street and stood in the October afternoon, trying to work out Thursday through Sunday on 17 cents, which was the kind of arithmetic she had become proficient at and hated having occasion to practice. The general store had a bench outside it. She was sitting on the bench doing the arithmetic when the cowboy came out of the store. She noticed him because he nearly stepped on her carpet bag, which she had set beside the bench, and he stopped and looked at the bag and then at her with the particular startled attention of someone who had not been expecting a woman on the bench outside the general store. Sorry, he said. Didn't see it. My fault for the placement, she said. He looked at her for a moment. Not the assessment look, the other kind, the kind that was simply noticing. And then he looked at the stage stop down the street. Just in? He said. Yes, she said. Passing through or staying? He said. Staying? She said. I have a position starting Monday at the hotel. He looked at the hotel. Laundress. He said. Yes. Munson's hotel. Yes. He was quiet for a moment with the expression of someone doing their own arithmetic. Munson's a fair employer, he said. Not warm, but fair. Fair is what I need, she said. He nodded. He picked up the supply parcel he'd been carrying and made to go, and then stopped. The bench is better than it looks, he said. If you're working out Thursday to Monday. She looked at him. How did you know? She said. Stage stop, carpet bag, no luggage beyond what you're carrying. Position that starts Monday. He said. That's a Thursday to Monday problem in the face of it. She looked at the man. He was perhaps 32, the working kind of lean, with the face of someone who had been in this country long enough to be shaped by it, not unkind, not performing anything. It's manageable, she said. I didn't say it wasn't, he said. The diner 2 doors down does meals on account. Tell them Lyall Marsh sent you. He walked away before she could respond. She looked at the diner 2 doors down. She looked at the direction he'd gone. She picked up the carpet bag and went to the diner. His name was Lyall Marsh. She learned this from the diner owner, a woman named Bess, who ran the place with her husband, and had, when Sadie mentioned the name, nodded with the easy familiarity of someone familiar with the person and their reliability. He's good for it, Bess said. He always pays what he sends. I don't want him to pay, Sadie said. Then pay him back when you're on your feet, Bess said. He won't mind either way. Sit down. She ate. She did not see Lyall Marsh again that day or the next. She spent Thursday night and Friday night in the room behind the hotel that Munson let her have early when she explained the situation in the direct way she had decided to explain things, which was plainly and without apology, because apology implied she had done something requiring forgiveness, and she had not. Munson was, as the cowboy had said, fair. She spent Saturday and Sunday preparing for the work the way she prepared for any work, which was to understand it fully before she started it and to arrive ready. She saw him again on Tuesday of the second week. She was coming back from the supply errand Munson had sent her on. He had discovered in the first week that she could manage more than laundry and had begun using her accordingly, which she allowed because the wages reflected it. And Lyall Marsh was at the same bench outside the general store, which she suspected was less coincidence than routine. He was reading something. He looked up when she passed. Settled in, he said, not a question. Yes, she said. Thank you for the diner. Did you need it? He said. Yes, she said. Then it was the right thing, he said. She stopped. Can I ask you something? She said. Ask it, he said. Why? She said. You didn't know me. He looked at the street. My mother sat on a bench like that once, he said, in a town smaller than this one, and nobody told her about the diner. She held the supply parcel. What happened to her? She said. She managed, he said. She was the kind of woman who managed regardless, but it would have been easier if someone had said something. She looked at him. You couldn't have been the person who said something, she said. You weren't there. No, he said. But I can be the person who says something when I'm here. She stood on the main street of Dunn, Wyoming, in the second week of October, with the supply parcel and her carpet bag and the 17 cents that were now 93 cents because Munson had paid her for the first week. And she looked at this man who had sent her to the diner and not stayed to be thanked for it. Thank you, she said. More completely than I said on Saturday. All right, he said. She went back to the hotel. She learned his life in the way you learned things in small towns, which was through the accumulated information of people who knew the relevant people and mentioned things in the natural course of conversation. He had a ranch 4 miles north called Marsh Flat, named after himself in the unself-conscious way of men, who named things after the most obvious available reference. He had been in Dunn for 6 years. He had no wife and no children, not from lack of wanting, but from the specific chronology of a man who had been building a ranch and had not had the right moment or the right person at the same time. He was, by the consensus of Bess at the diner and the woman who ran the dry goods and the man at the land office who mentioned him when she needed something notarized, considered a good man in the specific plain way that meant reliable, honest, present when needed. She filed this information without deciding what to do with it. On the 4th Tuesday, he asked her to have coffee. Not dinner, which would have been a declaration. Coffee at the diner, which was a conversation with a beverage attached, and she accepted because coffee was coffee, and she was interested in the conversation. They sat at the corner table, Bess indicated, with the particular discretion of a woman who had been watching the Tuesdays accumulate and had opinions about them. You've been here 3 weeks, he said. Yes, she said. How is Munson treating you? He said. Fairly, as advertised, she said. He's expanded what he uses me for. I'm managing the hotel accounts now, in addition to the laundry. He paying you for the accounts, he said. He is now, she said. He looked at her. You negotiated, he said. I asked what the accounts were worth to him, and he told me, and I said I agreed, and what would he like to do about that? She said. He almost smiled. How much? He said. Enough, she said. He drank his coffee. You're not from Wyoming, he said. Colorado, she said. Millard. What brought you north? He said. She looked at her coffee. The stage, she said. He was quiet. That's not the real answer, he said. I know. I'm not pressing. I left a situation, she said. Millard is where the situation was. Dunn is where the stage ended. All right, he said. She held her coffee. I was married, she said. The situation involved that. The marriage is finished now, legally and entirely, and I am… She stopped. Starting over is the phrase people use. I'm not sure it's accurate because you don't actually start over. You start from where you are, which is here. Here seems all right, he said. It does, she said. That's something I didn't expect. What did you expect? He said. I expected to keep going, she said. Until somewhere felt like enough to stop. Dunn was where I ran out of stage, but it's also… She paused. It doesn't feel temporary. That surprised me. He held his coffee. It's a good town, he said. Takes a season to see it, but it's there. What takes a season? She said. The people, he said. They're careful. Takes them a while to show what they are, but what they are is solid. She looked at the diner, at Bess moving between tables with the ease of a woman doing work she'd been doing for 20 years, at the regulars who came in for the noon meal and said good morning to each other and meant it. "Yes," she said. "I can see that." They finished the coffee. He paid before she could. She said, "I can pay for my own coffee." "I know," he said. "Next Tuesday you can." She looked at him. "Next Tuesday," she said. "If you want," he said. She picked up her coat. "All right," she said. The Tuesdays became a thing. Not a secret thing. Bess made it quite clear through the quality of her attention and the corner table she produced without being asked, that the Tuesdays were a known quantity in the diner. Sadie did not mind this. She had found that minding things cost energy she needed for other things. She and Lyall Marsh talked for an hour every Tuesday in the way of two people who found that talking to each other was productive in the specific sense of producing something useful, which was clarity about what each of them thought and who each of them was. He was not a complicated man. She did not mean this as a diminishment. She meant it as the description it was. He had no layering that concealed something worse, no performance that covered an interior at odds with the exterior. What he showed was what he was. She had spent 3 years with a man who was entirely layers, and she found the absence of them in Lyall Marsh almost disorienting, like someone who had been carrying something heavy for a long time and set it down and kept bracing for the weight. She told him this on the 6th Tuesday. He listened to it the way he listened to everything, which was with his full attention and without interrupting. 3 years of layers, he said. Yes, she said. What was underneath them? He said. Nothing I wanted to know about, she said. Which was the problem. He constructed the layers because what was underneath was something he didn't want known. I thought the layers were just him being private. It took me 3 years to understand the difference. What's the difference? He said. She thought about it. Private people share themselves selectively but honestly, she said. What they share is true. Layered people share what they've constructed. What they share is designed. And when the design came apart, he said, everything he'd told me had to be reevaluated. She said, which is its own particular kind of exhausting. He held his coffee. Does it make it hard? He said. To read people now. She looked at him. The opposite, she said. I read people very carefully now. I've been reading you for 6 weeks. And, he said, and you're what you appear to be, she said, which I find, she stopped. What? He said. Remarkable, she said, which is probably a thing I should have found unremarkable, but I don't, not yet. He looked at her steadily. I'm not a remarkable man, he said. You're a man who told a stranger on a bench about the diner, she said, and sent her there on your account and didn't stay to be thanked. You're a man who told me the truth about what Munson was like before I went in. You're a man who said the next Tuesday as though it was already settled without asking whether I wanted it to be. Did you want it to be? He said. I came back, didn't I? She said. He drank his coffee. Sadie, he said. She waited. I want to ask you something, he said. And I want you to know before I ask it that the answer doesn't have to be yes, and that if it's no, Tuesday is still Tuesday. She held his gaze. Ask it, she said. Would you come and see the ranch? He said. Not for any purpose except that I'd like you to see it. Sunday, if Munson can spare you. She thought about this. You're not asking me for something specific, she said. Not yet, he said. I'm asking you to see the thing first. She looked at the diner window and the October street beyond it. Sunday, she said. Yes. The ranch was 4 miles north on a road that was better than most roads in this part of Wyoming, which she discovered was because Lyall had built it over 3 summers in the specific manner of a man who understood that a road was a cost you paid once and a problem you paid forever. He told her this on the way out, not bragging, just answering the observation she'd made about the road's quality. You built it yourself, she said. Cord helped, he said. My ranch hand, he's been here 4 years. The ranch was what the road suggested it would be, built by someone who understood that the foundation of a thing determined how long the thing lasted. The house was not large but was solid, in the specific way that meant well-considered rather than just well-constructed. The barn was the largest building, which she understood from the way the property was arranged. This was a cattle operation, and the cattle were primary, and the rest of it was organized around that fact. She walked the property the way she walked spaces she was learning, looking at what was there and what it meant and what it said about the person who had built it. It said, careful, long view, no wasted motion, the kind of order that came from someone who thought about the next thing before the current thing was finished. Cord came out of the barn and was introduced and said, Ma'am, with the economy of a man who used words in proportion to their necessity and went back to work. He's not unfriendly, Lyall said. I know, she said. He's just efficient. Yes, he said. Exactly. He showed her the house. The kitchen was the kitchen of a man who cooked to live rather than because cooking was something he thought about. Functional, adequate, the kind of kitchen that wanted someone who thought about it. The front room had a desk with the ranch accounts on it and 2 chairs and a shelf of 7 books, which she counted. Do you read them? She said. Winter, he said. There's more time in winter. She looked at the accounts on the desk. May I? She said. He looked at the accounts. Yes, he said. She sat at the desk and looked at the accounts. She looked at them for several minutes. He stood in the doorway and let her look. You're managing these yourself, she said. Yes, he said. They're not wrong, she said. But the system is working against you. The way you're tracking the supply costs doesn't give you a seasonal picture. You can see what something cost, but not how it compares to the same period last year. He was quiet. How long would it take to fix? He said. To rebuild the system, a week? She said. To have the full picture, 2 months of the new records running alongside the old ones. He looked at the accounts. Is that something you'd want to do? He said. She looked up at him. I'm good at it, she said. Yes. He held her gaze. Sadie, he said. Yes. I want to tell you something, and I want to say it plainly, because I think plain is what you need. He said. Say it, she said. He came and sat in the second chair by the desk. This ranch needs someone who is going to think about the kitchen, he said, and the accounts in the way you just thought about them. And Cord is good and I'm good, but neither of us is going to think about those things the way they deserve to be thought about. She waited. I'm also, he said, a man who has been building something here for 6 years and has arrived at the part where the thing needs, where it wants. He stopped. Where finishing it alone is not the same as finishing it. She looked at the desk. "You're not asking me to look at your accounts," she said. "No," he said. "What are you asking?" she said. He was quiet for a moment. In the way she had learned was him making sure he said the thing right. "I'm asking if you would consider whether this is the place that doesn't feel temporary," he said. "Not because you need somewhere to land. You've landed. You have Munson and the accounts, and the Tuesdays are yours regardless of what you decide. I'm asking because I think you and this ranch are compatible, in the specific way where the thing that's missing from each of you is the thing the other one has." She held his gaze. "You're going too fast," she said. "Or I am one of us." "Yes," he said. "I know." "We've had 6 Tuesdays," she said. "7 counting today," he said. She looked at the accounts. She thought about reading people carefully, about layers and what was underneath them, about the bench outside the general store and the diner 2 doors down, and next Tuesday said like it was already settled. "I need more Tuesdays," she said. "All right," he said. "Not because I don't—" She stopped. "Because I need to be sure of the difference between what I want and what I need, and right now they feel the same, and that might not mean they are." "That's honest," he said. "I'm trying to be—" she said. "I wasn't honest enough with myself for 3 years. I'm trying to do better." "Then take the Tuesdays," he said. "I'll be here." "You'll just be here," she said. "Yes," he said. "That's what I do." She looked at the window of the ranch house, at the October afternoon going gold outside. She thought about 17 cents and the broken latch on the carpet bag and the name she had been trying to decide whether to keep. "Lyall," she said. "Yes." "I haven't decided about my name," she said. "I was given back my born name after the marriage ended, Sadie Holt. But I've been Sadie Pryor for 3 years and Sadie Holt for 24 years before that, and I don't know yet which one I am." He looked at her. "Which one feels right?" he said. "Neither," she said. "Right now, neither of them feels like it fits quite right. One has history I want to leave, and one has history I want to go back to that isn't entirely there anymore, because I'm not 24 years old the way I was when I had it." He was quiet. "Names are strange," he said. "They're supposed to be the most fixed thing about you, and they're actually one of the most variable." She looked at him. "Marsh," she said. "Yes," he said. "Sadie Marsh," she said, not suggestively, testing the sound of it. He held very still. "How does that sound?" he said. "New," she said. "Neither of the other ones." "Is that what you want?" he said. "I don't know yet," she said. "That's what more Tuesdays are for." He looked at the accounts. "All right," he said. "More Tuesdays." November. The Tuesdays continued. She rebuilt the ranch accounts on Sundays when she came out, because she had started, and not finishing a thing she'd started was not how she operated. She did it on Sundays so that she could look at the work and the ranch together, understand them as the same problem. Lyall did not hover while she worked. He was in and out of the house the way he was in and out of everything, present and purposeful, and not requiring her to manage his presence. Cord made coffee on the Sundays she was there, which was Cord's way of indicating that she was expected, which was the highest form of welcome Cord distributed. On a Sunday in the 3rd week of November, she was at the desk with the new system running for 2 months, alongside the old records, and she had the picture, the full picture, the thing she had said would take 2 months to see. She showed it to Lyall at the noon meal. He looked at it. "The south pasture rotation," he said. "You've been underusing it," she said. "The cattle numbers on the north pasture are putting pressure on the grass that the south pasture would relieve. If you move 40 head south after the first thaw, the north recovers faster," he said, "and the south produces better in summer," she said. "The feed cost difference by August would be—" She showed him. He looked at the number. He looked at her. "You've been thinking about this ranch," he said. "I've been looking at the accounts," she said. "For 2 months," he said. "That's thinking about it." She looked at the papers. "Yes," she said. "It is." He was quiet for a moment. "How does it feel?" he said. "Thinking about it." She thought about this honestly. "Like something I want to keep thinking about," she said. He held her gaze. "Sadie," he said. "More Tuesdays," she said. "How many more?" he said. She looked at the window. Outside, the November afternoon was the color of something about to turn. The first real cold coming off the mountains. The kind that said the winter was decided and was going to happen regardless of opinion. "I want to see the winter," she said. "I want to know what this place is in the winter before I decide anything about it." "That's 2 months," he said. "Yes," she said. "All right," he said. She went back to the accounts. He went back to the barn. Cord appeared in the kitchen doorway at 3 in the afternoon with coffee and said nothing and left it on the desk beside her. She drank it and kept working. Winter came to Dunn, Wyoming. She watched it come from both positions. From the hotel where she managed Munson's accounts and laundry and increasingly everything else that Munson discovered she could manage, and from the ranch on the Sundays. The ranch in winter was not what she had expected. She had expected it to contract, to become the minimum, to show the underside of a place that was only pleasant in the mild seasons. What she found instead was that the ranch in winter was the ranch at its most itself, stripped of everything that was optional, left with only what was essential, and the essential turned out to be sound in every particular. The house held the heat properly, which was the first test of a house. The supply system she had seen in the accounts proved itself. Nothing ran short because the planning had been done right. The cattle came through the cold well because the pasture management she'd been looking at in the numbers turned out to reflect real choices Lyall had made that were the correct choices. She saw the ranch in January, and she saw it in February. On a Sunday in February, she was in the kitchen making the noon meal. She had started doing this without being asked, because she arrived before noon, and the meal wanted making, and she was capable of making it. And Lyall came in from the barn and washed his hands and stood in the kitchen doorway. He looked at her in the kitchen. She looked at him. "Sadie," he said. "Yes," she said. "It's been 2 months," he said. She put the pot down. She had known this was coming. She had been knowing it for 2 weeks, which was when the answer had stopped being something she was working toward and had become something she already knew and was waiting to say. "Yes," she said. "It has." "I told you I'd be here," he said. "You were," she said. He came into the kitchen. He stood across the kitchen table from her. "What do you know?" he said. "I know the winter," she said. "I know the accounts, and the pasture rotation, and the way the south pasture performs in summer, and what the supply system needs to stay sound." "And," he said. "And I know," she said. The difference between what I want and what I need. I worked it out in November. What did you find? He said. She held the edge of the kitchen table. I found that they're the same thing, she said, and that the reason they felt the same in October was not because I was confused, it was because they were actually the same, and I wasn't yet ready to trust that. He was very still. And now, he said, I trust it, she said. He looked at her from across the kitchen table. Sadie, he said. Yes. I want to offer you something, he said. And I want to offer it plainly the way I try to do everything. Say it, she said. I want to offer you this ranch, he said. And my name, not as a solution to a problem you have, and not as something you need to say yes to because you're in a difficult position. You're not in a difficult position. You've got Munson and the Tuesdays, and you would manage perfectly well without this offer. I know, she said. I'm offering it, he said. Because this ranch is better when you're thinking about it, and because I am. He stopped. What? She said. I am the kind of man who is better when you're here, he said. That's the honest answer. Everything I do is clearer when there's someone here who sees it the same way I see it. She looked at the kitchen, at the accounts she had been keeping for 2 months, at the window that faced south toward the pasture she had worked out the rotation for, at the kitchen that had become, over the Sundays, a kitchen she thought about during the week. She thought about 17 cents and Millard, Colorado, and a stage that ran out. She thought about a bench outside a general store and a man who said the diner without staying to be thanked. She thought about the name. Lyall, she said. Yes. Sadie Marsh, she said. I've been trying it since October. He was very still. How does it fit? He said. Like it was made for it, she said. He came around the kitchen table. He stood in front of her and put his hand out the way you put a hand out when you were offering something real and needed the other person to take it. She took it. Yes, she said. Yes, he said. Outside, the February afternoon was the color that February afternoons were in Wyoming, which was the specific gray-white of a season that was finishing, and knew it, the last cold before the ground began its slow return to something that wanted to grow. Inside the kitchen was warm, and the pot was on, and the noon meal was going to be ready in 20 minutes. Cord appeared in the barn doorway across the yard, as if he had been waiting for a signal, and went back inside. She thought she heard him say something to the horse. She did not ask what. They married in March at the Dunn Courthouse, which was a small room with a flag and a judge who did 3 weddings a week and had the professional warmth of a man who had genuinely never gotten tired of this particular ceremony. Bess came. Munson came, with the clipped approval of a man who had noticed for months that his best employee's attention was partly elsewhere and had decided this resolution was acceptable. Cord came in his good shirt. After, Bess made them a meal at the corner table and said she was glad she'd told Sadie about the Tuesday option for coffee. That was your doing, Sadie said. I mentioned it was possible, Bess said. Everything else was yours. She looked at Lyall across the table. He looked at her with the look she had read for months, the one that didn't require translation, the one that was simply what it was. She thought about 17 cents. She thought about the name on the courthouse paper, which read Sadie Marsh, which was neither Holt nor Pryor, but something that had not existed before October and was now the truest thing she had. Not a return to what she'd been. Not a recovery of something lost, something new. Built from a bench and a diner and 7 books on a shelf, and the South Pasture rotation, and the specific sound of Tuesdays becoming something settled. Built from a man who had nothing to hide and nothing to prove, and had told her about the diner and walked away before she could thank him. Built from her own choice, her own accounting, her own decision to take the Tuesdays and learn the winter and trust what she found. "How does it feel?" Lyall said. She knew he meant all of it. The name, the morning, the thing they had just done. She thought about it honestly, the way she thought about everything now. "Like the right place," she said, which is not something I've said in a long time. He picked up his coffee. "You don't have to keep qualifying it," he said. "It can just be the right place." She looked at him. "You're right," she said. She picked up hers. "It's the right place," she said, and left it at that.